Hey everybody, welcome back to Video Game Esoterica, and a continuing series on the MiSTer DE-10 NANO FPGA board. And today we're going to be doing something a little bit more fun and different, because we've already reviewed the PC Engine CD and the PC Engine HuCard side of things, and I mentioned in the original video that this core also supports SuperGrafx games. I owned a SuperGrafx at one point in time with all 5 games, but the price on them went wild. I owned a few as arcade boards, and I decided that was the time to sell. But I want to talk about all of what the SuperGrafx core can do with MiSTer. Before we get too far involved though, do me a huge favor, go down below, hit like, subscribe, ring that notification bell, definitely helps us out. And if you feel so inclined and want to support the channel, we got a Patreon link down below as well. But you'll see here I have a Duo R, and unfortunately this is not compatible with SuperGrafx games. The SuperGrafx was not a new console compared to the PC Engine, it was an expanded console, and it only had 5 games for it with a 6th game that had a SuperGrafx mode to it. But the interesting thing is it's more games that you can experience, more hardware, and the great part is the MiSTer PC Engine core supports SuperGrafx games. Now I will say that you need to make sure that the file extension is .sgx. Some of the ROMs will be downloaded in .pce format, and even though they are SuperGrafx ROMs, you still need to make sure that you change the file extension on them or else they won't load in my experience. But all of the settings that we have for the PC Engine HuCard and CD are going to be identical on the SuperGrafx side because it is still just the same core. So this is a review of how the core handles SuperGrafx games. If you've watched my previous PC Engine video, you're not going to be seeing many options here that you already haven't seen beforehand. But what I love so much about this core is that it allows you to experience these SuperGrafx games because a SuperGrafx console is not cheap. The games cost multiple hundreds of dollars a piece. I would not recommend buying a SuperGrafx unless you're a hardcore collector, and if you are, you're probably not watching this video because you probably already own one and have it on the shelf. This is for the people that want to experience something new that they never checked out and maybe don't even know that the SuperGrafx is supported in the PC Engine core, because it was a really short-lived system from NEC. It looked strange. The entire concept behind it was odd. It was a slightly expanded hardware variant of the PC Engine, and it wasn't supposed to succeed the PC Engine whatsoever. It was supposed to live alongside it. I think that was a pretty bad choice marketing-wise, and NEC realized that and basically just abandoned it before they even did much with it. But you'll see here 1941 on the PC Engine looks great, and I will put some comparison shots up to the CPS hardware as well, so you can see what they look one from the other. But this was a great home port of 1941. If I was playing this and didn't own an original PCB or have the CPS cores on MiSTer, this would be a great way to play it. And back when it came out, this was the best version that you could get that wasn't the arcade hardware original. And SuperGrafx, that's basically what it did, is it tried to bring arcade ports home, and the original games that it had for it were kind of janky and not that great. They're not terrible, but they're not worth buying the hardware over, and that's the great thing about MiSTer, is that now we can just play these games, check them out, and enjoy them, because before this, they worked on emulation, but it was a little bit shaky. And you'll see here, moving on to the second stage, soon I will show you what the CPS original looks like, but the MiSTer core for SuperGrafx is outstanding. This plays perfectly. I've found absolutely no issues with it whatsoever, and it's been a long time since I played an original SuperGrafx, like 4 years since I sold my hardware, but it seems to be perfect in my mind, and this is what the game looks like if you're playing on the original Capcom CPS board. But as good as this looks, the sound on the SuperGrafx wasn't really much improved over the PC Engine. It doesn't sound bad because of course the PC Engine always sounded good, but this was such a marginal upgrade to what the PC Engine did that it really makes no sense as to why NEC would have even bothered with this. They made some really strange hardware choices, the SuperGrafx, the PCFX. They started really successfully, and then they seem to have a lot of issues. Like I said, it looks great. We'll go ahead and listen for about 30 seconds, see how it sounds, and I'll come back and talk more about the SuperGrafx options for the MiSTer. But enjoy! To kind of reinforce my point as to why I'm not sure why the SuperGrafx existed, this is Aldynes. It's a really fun shmup, nothing spectacular, nothing bad, but if you take a look at this giant sprite here, this is something that maybe the PC Engine would struggle with a little bit, but if we move over to Sapphire that uses the arcade card in the CD format, I would say this game looks foundationally much better, and you're getting some of those big sprites as is. So again, it's a lot of fun to check out the SuperGrafx, and MiSTer is probably the best way to possibly do it, but I just don't know why NEC would have used this hardware. It seems like such a strange thing. I'm surprised they didn't just make the arcade card cheaper or produce a card above the arcade card and ignore the entire SuperGrafx from the start. But I do like a lot of the scaling. It's nice and smooth, and you just get a little bit more graphical fidelity than your PC Engine Hue cards are going to give you, but it's still a really strange hardware format. We're moving right over to Battle Ace, and like I said, there's only 5 games on the SuperGrafx, so we're going to be talking about all of them. Visually, it is quite interesting, but unfortunately, some of the games on the SuperGrafx just don't have that much for gameplay. What you're seeing here is the entirety of what the game is going to offer you. You have this crosshair that you just control with the D-pad, and you need to highlight those 2 reticles over your enemies. Press the missile button, and they blow up. Get hit by a missile, you blow up. It looks good, it's just kind of boring to be entirely honest with you. But taking a look at Majyūō King Granzor, and I have no idea if I'm pronouncing that right, chances are I am not. It's another SuperGrafx game that's just kind of boring. I mean, the PC Engine Duo R had better games than this on CD and Hue card, and while it looks nice, it just doesn't seem like anything that the PC Engine couldn't pull off on its own. And that's why I can't recommend enough just checking SuperGrafx games out on the MiSTer. If you're thinking about buying an original SuperGrafx and want a full set, but you're not that big of a collector, I would strongly recommend against doing that. Even I haven't done it, and I'm foolish and collect basically anything that you can put in my hands. But this is why MiSTer's great. Not only does it allow you to play some of the best games of all time and some of the best systems of all time, like Sega Genesis, Super Nintendo, Game Boy Advance, it also allows you to play some of the more obscure stuff, like the SuperGrafx. And moving over to Dai Makimura, this is hands down the best game on the SuperGrafx, and when it came out, it was the best home version you could possibly get, but we've superseded that by multitudes now. You can emulate this on your computer. You can play the original CPS core on MiSTer. Honestly, this game is so expensive for the SuperGrafx now. If you throw in a couple extra $100, you could buy an original arcade PCB and have the best version possible. But I can't recommend enough, if you want to check out SuperGrafx games, the MiSTer is a great place to play them, because there are a few games that you definitely do want to check out. And moving right over to the CPS version, the SuperGrafx gets really close to getting that arcade perfect, and back in 91, 92 when these were on the market, you couldn't do much better. But short of that, that is the SuperGrafx options for the PC Engine core, and definitely check it out, it is a ton of fun. Short of that, I will be back next Thursday with an episode of the MiSTer series, and I'll have videos on Friday, Sunday, Tuesday, and Wednesday as well. But if you guys have any questions or comments, so leave them down below. I love chatting with you guys. Otherwise, I will see you next week, and Arthur here is probably going to go die very shortly, because this game is hard as hell. We'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.